We have a Portuguese word, which is saudade. It's more than just a word because there's no correct translation for the word. Saudade is a feeling. It's a state of spirit. It's the soul. It's a longing for. It's a missing of. See, when I'm here, I have saudades of Portugal. Canada is one of the most wonderful countries in the world where all nationalities come together. We bring the best of ourselves, but we all have saudades from back home. Amália Rodrigues, the statue behind me, the biggest Fado singer of all times, showing the best of Portuguese traditional music, Fado. She was the biggest vehicle to express saudade. Because the Fado, the song that she sang, the feeling from family to love, being far away, expressed in a song, in music, and it would be very deep, you know, dramatic. Just like us Portuguese, we're all very dramatic. Yes, we feel too much. I need a morcela e o fígado para a mesa.
Olha ali, 3 bochechas.
Até que enfim, e o resto?
Olha lá, e ocupa lá aqui a tua posiçãozinha, se faz favor.
For people who are not able to go back home every year or every often, if they will come to Mercado Negro, they could kill a little bit of their saudade. I think cooking is an art. Lots colors, lots flavors, lots textures. I want to be like a Van Gogh in the kitchen.
Portuguese cuisine is one of the oldest in Europe. We will share with you some of its secrets, namely the recipes that made it famous throughout the world.
Back there was no fridge. They make these huge big boxes where they put salt, and when they kill like an animal, they will cut it in pieces and they put it into the salt.
How in medieval monasteries the recipe for the most popular dessert in the world was born.
Portuguese making kosher food centuries ago, and nobody knew about it.
Cod has a special place in Portuguese cuisine, especially salted cod, which became one of its fundamental ingredients. The drying and salting methods obviously help preserve nutrients, but also make the cod tastier. Cod fishing boomed in the 1830s, since becoming a fisherman was the only way for many young people to avoid being drafted into the army. For the mandatory 6 years of service. Today, Portugal has the world's largest cod market.
Good Portuguese fish, white snapper.
Andrew, bom dia.
Good morning.
Como estás?
Good, and you guys?
Good. What do we have here today?
Well, we've got quite a bit of variety. It all depends on what you guys are going to cook.
Need some lobster and some codfish, please.
Let's go around back.
Okay. I'm Carlos, owner of Mercado Negro. Miguel, why don't you go ahead and choose one? Yes. Oh,
Well, I'm Miguel Marques, and I'm chef at Mercado Negro.
okay. Yes, thank you, Andrew. Thank you. I was born in Portugal. I was brought over when I was 9 months. Was raised in Brampton. My parents were immigrants here in Canada, trying to make money to give us a better life. So they worked very hard and very long hours. So when it came to cooking, they were exhausted. So it was like very fast and simple dishes. I had a sweet tooth. That was a big problem. Mom didn't like making cakes. So I started making cakes when I was 12 or 13, just to be able to eat them. I love cakes, still today. I could not go to pick up my bread without eating something sweet. Bom dia, Katia. How are you? Good. Olha, deixa-me pastel de nata.
Pastel de nata cakes were invented by Catholic monks in the 17th century. Back in those days, the monasteries used egg whites to starch clothes. The leftover yolks were used to make cakes and pastries. After the monastery's closure, following the Portuguese Revolution of 1820, the monks began to sell pastel de nata in a nearby sugar factory in order to make ends meet. In 1834, the owners of the sugar factory bought out the cake recipe, and in 3 years, they opened the Pastel de Belém factory, which produces famous pastries to this day. In 2009, The Guardian listed Pastel de Belém as one of the 50 best things to eat in the world.
At the age of 17, my parents decided to move back to Portugal, where I went with them. And I stayed for 10 years. And then I came back again, this time by myself, this time ready for my own life. This was my journey, coming back. And it was, for me, it was coming back home. I remember when I used to go to Portugal when I was a kid to my grandmother's house, we'd park the car and we'd get out of the car and the clothes was hanging. And after 2 or 3 days, we'd be leaving the house and our underwear would be hanging on the rod. And it's just like, everybody's looking at our underwear. It's like, wow, here, we're not used to that. When we have people come in and they tell me, Carlos, my grandmother had that bowl, or my aunt that passed away had those plates, or the clothesline that represents a Portuguese way of life. It's so European, it's so Portuguese. We want to be more than a restaurant. We are a community. We are a representation of what Portugal is. We're trying to work with very old ingredients, transforming them and bringing them to the table into a new light. We have a few that are very, very old items, like the farinheira. The farinheira is the poor people's sausage. We're talking about hundreds of years ago. They didn't have money to buy meat. What they would do is with leftover bread, they would cook it and stew it and put a piece of pork fat inside the bread so it would have the flavor of meat. But then take it out and then do sausages with that bread because there was no money. Another example, alheira. We still call it today the white sausage. Back in the day, it was normal for the priest to visit the towns, and he would knock on the doors during lunchtime or dinner time. He would be invited for dinner or lunch to eat for free. And he would walk in, and the houses, it had open fire on the floor in the kitchen, and the sausages would be hanging. He'd get there and they would have no sausage because they didn't eat pork. So what do? They bring lots of chickens into the area and they started making the alheira. The alheira is a chicken-based sausage. So here we are, Portuguese making kosher food centuries ago, and nobody knew about it.
Back there was no fridges. They make these huge big boxes where they put salt, and when they kill like an animal or so, they will cut it in pieces and they put it into the salt and they cover it with the salt so it will stay good for a long time. That comes from there, like from the meat that's salted, and it's actually very good. It's one of the traditional dishes from there. Like the bacalhau à Brás, we work a lot with bacalhau, codfish, salted cod. There is millions of ways to do codfish.
There are over 1,000 cod recipes in Portugal alone, and this fish can be rightfully considered an iconic ingredient of Portuguese cuisine. We will show you how to cook one of the most famous cod dishes.
I'm gonna go do a very Portuguese dish today, which is a bacalhau à Brás. We start with some codfish that's previously shredded and mixed with some confit onions and garlic. We just put the codfish, the mix in a bowl. We're gonna go add 2 eggs. Some parsley. We're gonna go add to a little bit of black pepper. We also gonna need a poached egg in this dish, so we have already a pot of water boiling. We're gonna go add a little bit of white vinegar just to make the eggs stay together. So by the time that we wait for our water to get to boil, we're gonna go stir this mix with the eggs very well, so all the shredded and the shredded cod and the egg gets together. And we can start get a pan to cook our codfish warm. Gonna go put a little bit of olive oil in our pan to cook our codfish. We're gonna go make the water kind of go in a tornado to make the egg be like a tear. So as soon as we are seeing our water going, we can put our egg and let it cook for about like a minute and a half, because we want a soft poach. By the time we can start cooking our codfish, we have a warm pan with some olive oil. Not too much olive oil because we don't want a greasy dish. Once that we see that our eggs are getting firm, we let it stay for a couple of seconds so it will get a nice golden color in the eggs. And we can't forget our egg, right? And now can you see our codfish? It's nice and gold with the eggs together. So we're going to get our plate to plate, and we put a little firm, so we're gonna go put like our bed, kind of. That's what we call it. It's our codfish bed. So now we are going to put our egg on top, just like this. A touch of black pepper and also olive ashes that we made here, like in a machine that dehydrated. To finish our plate, we're gonna go put a thin cut fry that we made. This kind look like a nest, and we just put it on top. And that's our codfish. We just give a little bit of color on it with some parsley. And one of our things too that we made in the house, salted cured egg yolks. It's just a regular egg yolk. It's cured with salt and sugar. And we're gonna go make it go on top of our codfish. Just like this. To finish, a little bit pepper on the sides. And there we are. We're going to start our second dish, which is a Portuguese Cataplana. It's served in a pot just like this, which is a Cataplana.
Originally, a Cataplana was made out of copper beaten into a shape of a clamshell, to make it easy for hunters and fishermen to fill it up with garlic, onion, olive oil, and the various vegetables of the season in order to cook them together with fresh game or catch right there, out in the forest or just off the boat. The Cataplana would act like a simplified pressure cooker to stew the fresh food, sealing the flavors and juices inside while cooking. This was done fairly quickly by putting everything into the pan and letting it simmer away.
So we're going to start with some olive oil in our pot. A lot of olive oil. Some garlic. And we get our pot in the stove to get the garlic a little bit gold. So as soon as our garlic starts to frying a little bit, we're going to get our big shrimps that takes long to cook. And we're gonna go back to the stove. As soon as our shrimp starts to cook a little bit, we're going to add small shrimp, the clams, and the mussels. They're the small shrimps, our clams, and the mussels. We also can add a little bit of our green onion. And we are going to add mix of onion, peppers, bell peppers, garlic, and tomato. And some tomato sauce too, to give a little bit body to our sauce. And we bring it back to the stove for a little second more. And we add our wine. And now we cover it for about like 6 minutes. And they will cook. And by the time we cooked this previously, we did the poach, right? So it's not fully cooked. We're just gonna go finish by adding this snow crab and our lobster that we're gonna go split it open right now. We start by putting our knife to the middle of the body and we kind of stab it and we push it down. Needs to be careful doing this because there is sharp points in the shell. So there is. We clean a little bit of the head here. There is a little piece that's not good. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper together. We can stir. You can take a look. Our Cataplana start boiling, so our shrimp start getting the orange-red color. Our clams start to open, our mussels too, so we're gonna go close for a little second more and we're gonna go grab our crab. And we're going to add to the top of our pot. And our lobster. A bit of parsley. And let it cook for a couple more minutes. So we are done. We are going to plate now. So we start to take on the side our lobster. And our snow crab. And gently we're going to start taking the seafood and everything in through our Cataplana. And now to finish, we're going to display the bigger things to the top, right? It's what the eyes like to see. A claw. Go there. One half of a lobster. Another half. And the other claw. Now to finish, we're just gonna go put a little parsley, some green onions on top. We close it, and that's how it is. Everything is gonna go taste fresh. That's what Portugal is. Portugal is like you go to the beach, you enjoy your day of beach, and you wait for the boat to come out with the fish, and we'll buy the fish, you take it home, you eat it, and just tastes like the ocean. Tastes like Portugal. That's Portugal in a pot. My Cataplana, I have people telling me like, oh, this tastes like Portugal. And my heart smile hearing that.
When people come in, we're not interested in just having a meal. It's the music, it's the atmosphere, it's us. We're real people serving real food and just trying to be as Portuguese as we can.